So I think it's pretty funny, right, that we just had Paladin Cecil, aka Dark Cecil, whatever. We just had his son in a previous banner, and I got spammed by it. He refused to give me his LD. And then I got ultra lucky with the dad. Let me tell you just how lucky I got. So I spent gems, didn't get shit. Spent tickets, didn't get shit. Spent more gems, got 2 of his LDs. And then I just did some rage pulls. But before I did those rage pulls, I spent burst tokens to get his burst. And then, c'est la vie. I got his fucking burst on one of the multi-pulls, so joke's on me, whatever. Because the real kicker to all of this is that, where the fuck is the mom? It's like boys' night out. This is really starting to give off some Final Fantasy 15 vibes, right? Where it's just a triad in this fight anyway, with dudes that have nothing in common, and really, like, they're not gonna get a beer after they slaughter the Hellworm. Which, by the way, what makes it a bad guy, right? Like, I mean, it's a reptile. It's not like it has a mass agenda with a whiteboard and it's like, all right, step 1, destroy everything. Step 2, get some headbands and some other body ornaments. Like, what are these wings? Because those are not feathers like I've ever seen before. I can imagine it being effective for flying, but what the fuck. And this is just yet another fight where the best person that is doing the most is actually a bad guy. You got a bad guy fighting a bad guy. My personal favorite bad guy, Kefka. I try to bring him to as many Lufenia fights as possible because, he's just the troll to troll. And I just love that, he HP spams, and a lot of that is not allowing anybody else to HP attack, and that to me is amazing because it's the ultimate cock block, right? Like, you're just going around and you're like, I don't want this person to get the leg up. How can I situate myself? This dude stabs you with a beam of light, even though he probably belongs in the depths of hell, right beside the Hellworm. But no, stabs you with some light, and then you're not even allowed to. Even if you wanted to, you're not allowed to. And that, to me, is why the patriarchy needs to be taken down. Even though they don't have any power, let's be serious now. The royal family, that entire interview, Oprah, did you see Oprah's eyes? She was astonished. Just astonished. We need to HP disable the monarch. Anyway, I don't really see how the two are related, other than this queen right here, throwing her darts. And she was able to hit max. And this is supposed to be a magic resist. And you know what? Cheese it. Because these are going to be the last few Lufenias where they can be cheesed. Because according to other content creators that don't spend their time shitting on this game, it's about to get real, right? I mean, everybody pulled for Paladin Cecil's burst and his LD because he's supposed to be OP, and then the game is like, oh, hey, by the way, give me your money. Do you have any money? You've been playing for day 1. Where's your money? Give me your money. And I'll say that I fall prey to that. Mostly because I have a terrifying fear that one day they're just going to shut the game down because they're running out of their own resources to give. But so far, we don't have that risk because in JP they have Burst Plus. And I'm wondering what's going to be next after Burst Plus. I think that what they should do next is drop players in the middle of a fight into some other fight. And I don't just mean like some random fight that's on the board or anything that could be beneficial for you. I think that you should be dropped in the middle of another player's team op while they're fighting a Lufenia, right? So in the middle of this, they would just swap it. and then boom, I'm in another team trying to figure out what they did. It'd be chaos, absolute chaos, and I think that's what we need. We need a little bit more of that chaos era where you're just like, the game is impossible, I don't understand what to do. And then I think we should be able to write reviews and be like, dear fucker, I don't understand why you didn't set up anything for this fight right off the bat. You had no dispels, you had no debuffs, you had nothing whatsoever. I came into your fight and literally the boss was murdering you. You were at 1 HP, let's be real here. You left me with a fully beefed up, gauged up Lufenia boss that has 1 orb left, and I gotta figure it out. That would be the ultimate. And how good of a player are you? Also, I get a little spazzy and I never remember what buffs that I have, and it's actually very noticeable in my gameplay because I spam a lot of shit. I really do. I honestly, I don't remember what all I even have going on, and then that itself, that actually adds a lot of value to the game, because at that point it's just kind of like, what am I doing really? What's going on here? I don't know how to play this game. I'm just clicking buttons. And thus far, I mean, that's gotten me quite a ways into the game, but needless to say, I will never be a valuable source of information for anybody to go to with questions about how to play or beat the game, because my immediate response is just going to be click a button. I don't know, fucking do it. And then on the other side of that, you have content creators that just bang it out, right? Like, have a great understanding of the game and they're able to explain things to you. But one thing that I've noticed is that it's a lot of explanations for what buttons to push. And that's something that always, like, it just tickles me, right? Because you're watching a YouTube video, you're trying to get the one up. Here's this dude, very knowledgeable. And then they explain to you what you're watching. And I think that we need more content creators that start their videos off with once upon a time. You know, we should get very creative, very narrative. We should be able to implement our own dev abilities with a storyline. And that's something that I think players would really respond positively to. If you could imagine playing it out, right? Because nobody watches the cutscenes in the game. Well, I take that back. I know a few people that will watch the little storyline, but once you've seen 13 of them, it's pretty standard. It's a lot of, I'm sad. Why are you sad? Well, I'm sad because I can't protect my friends. Oh, I'm also sad because of that. Don't worry, I'll help you. And then trolley-da-di-da, that's pretty much the story plot. Even though I will say I like the fact that it mirrors a lot of the Dissidia game, which I purchased and was just not happy with because no one plays that shit, and it's very clear why. It's like Pac-Man. You're Pac-Man and you're running around and you're beating up rocks and you're just trying to catch the other person, the ghost, if you will, but you never do. You have to actually continue to sift through a massive playing field, but you can fly no matter who you are. Everybody can fly, and that's something that I noticed they took a liberty on, because in no Final Fantasy game that I'm really aware of can you jump, other than like Final Fantasy 15, like the online games, but I don't consider those to be viable games because 15 was trash. And if you love 15, you love trash. You are a trash panda, you are a raccoon. You have raccoon eyes and you need some Maybelline. Because once upon a time there was a commercial that talked about fixing your raccoon eyes, and that was targeted specifically for people that loved Final Fantasy 15. And while I'm on that rant, what was the storyline in that game? Like, what? I don't understand. It was like the biggest bromance narrative that you've ever encountered that you were forced to participate in, right? Like, I won't say that I haven't had a bromance before, because I have, but I can definitely tell you that I did not spend anywhere near the amount of energy and effort as Ignis did. Like, motherfucker, you caused me to go blind and you want to be bro friends? Nah, not player. That's not how I roll. HP disable, and why do you get a burst? But, you know, I get a little ahead of myself because I think that if Ignis got a burst, then I would write the devs an email every single day just explaining to them how Ignis is the worst character in this entire game. Why does he stop the middle of the fight to pull out an entire stove? And he's prepping things, and like, where was that hiding? Does he just have like a tether attached to him where he just wheels around his portable grill and the cutting board? And the monsters are totally fine with it. They're just looking at this dude and they're like, whoa, I better respect the craftsmanship because this is some artistry. He's about to make a dope meal and I should allow that to happen. Also, like, it's very promotional for adult diabetes and or just adult obesity because it's not even like that's his one thing that he does for like an EX, right? No. You can get it with a brave, you can get it with an attack, you can get a quick recipe. Like, this man is a fighting Paula Deen, or, you know, like a Gordon Ramsay, except Gordon Ramsay would be mortified by that stuff. I would love to hear, you know, some direct commentary from Gordon Ramsay. If he were a summon, that would be dope. Like, you know how there's the Moogle summon and it was specific for Terra? What if there was a Gordon Ramsay summon, right? And he debuffs you and your team. He doesn't do anything to the monster. He calls you an idiot sandwich, which lowers your max brave, initial brave, defense, attack, and then it makes the monsters everything resist. And the duration of it is 40 turns, right? When you summon Gordon Ramsay, it's 40 turns, and every turn he just pops up and he talks shit to Ignis, right? And Ignis just cries, but it's not like a Purim cry where it doesn't any kind of benefit for you. It's actually just like a really sad moment where you're watching a grown man cry and you don't know how to react or respond to it, so you just ignore the situation, because that is the key to survival. Ignore, ignore, ignore. Just like we're all going to ignore the fact that we are going to get every single character from Final Fantasy Type 0, which was another, in my opinion, complete trash game. Like, it was just a knockoff brand of Balam Gardens and, you know, the Broody Squall, except for they all collectively have amnesia, and yet they're never going to remember that they were all orphans in some scenario, and they have to fight their pseudo mommy. Yeah, it was insanity to me, and I couldn't get into it. I even cheated on that game. There's a little cheat around it where if you go and you train somebody, then you go into your PlayStation setting, you can fast forward it to like a day or so and then like rack up on all these levels. Even like maxing it out with like, say, Ace, there was no joy in it because the mechanics of fighting, all of the characters all fought very differently, right? And I can't survive in that. I didn't know how to play Tekken. Are you kidding me? I couldn't remember those sequence. I played that game like I played this game. Mash all the buttons and just hope that it works. And I think that's why it wasn't well received. I mean, there are a lot of people that said that they loved and enjoyed Type 0, but I also think that those people have never experienced real love as a child. I think that they have a warped sense of the idea, and that's something that we should definitely be aware of as a community. We need to be helping those people. Help the people that liked Final Fantasy Type 0. They need it the most. Because those people just never got the chance to play an early version of Final Fantasy where it was turn-based, and then your mom started screaming at you because it was time to go to the grocery store and you couldn't find a save point, so you just turned the TV off but left the PlayStation running. You know you did it. We've all done it. It's like the ultimate cheat for a video game that you can do and still win at life, right? Like, I'm gonna pause this, turn the TV off. It's still gonna be on. My mom won't know. And then as soon as we get back home, I'm gonna get right back to being slaughtered. Because guess what? I don't know what I'm doing. And the repetitiveness of that was really beneficial for me. But I will also say that the repetitive note just snuffed out by the fact that I was playing Final Fantasy X, and every time I thought that Seymour was finally gonna fucking die, he just bounced right back. Seymour is the STI of villains. That is a man right there that every time you think you treated the situation, he just, boom, pops up 3 chapters later, and he's morphed. Like, this dude was Resident Evil level comeback. Every time he came back, he was just more and more chromatic, which maybe that was the inspiration for Lady Gaga and Chromatica, but he was just relentless. That was a dude that would not give up the fight. He had some serious codependency with Yuna. Yuna was suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. You know, she felt a lot of sympathy and pity for, you know, people trying to murder her, which I think that's also something that they could have addressed a little bit better. That was really a teachable moment, such as, hey, Stockholm Syndrome is a thing that maybe we shouldn't implement in a video game where the entire point of it is to murder an innocent girl and have all of her lackeys be like, no one fall in love with her. She cannot experience joy or love before she dies. And this entire rant had absolutely nothing to do with this Lufenia, but I beat it, so plus side for there. And the shite rewards for beating it. And then there's my party. Woo!